hit
Seven, yeah.
Welcome, everybody. This is our Select Board workshop. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So we invited the land share writers to come to our workshop because there has been a lot of interest in opening some of the town roads to the ATV use. We've had interest and we've had opponents to it as well. So our request was get consent from folks that live on the roads you want to use. We want to hear from our local people. We've also received quite a few emails in opposition from residents on those roads as well. So I think maybe to start, we would just ask maybe Tom and Mike to say a little bit about what it is that you're here for.
Okay, we're actually here for three different things.
Can you, you mind just standing up so everyone can hear you and say your name and where you live?
My name's Thomas Spinoza. I live on Stagecoach Road in Parsonsfield. Something I want to say though, before we get going here, about a year ago when all this stuff was going down Hasty Road and I was laid up in bed with a walker, there was some pretty mean, hateful things being said out there about the club, probably about myself. If any of you people think the club wants any of this crap going on, disrupting people's lives, you're totally wrong. So can we please keep this civil? Okay, that's all I'm asking. There's no reason to get mad and yelling. Okay? All right, so I got three different we'll call it parts of this meeting. We have 3 miles of town roads are used for our regular trails. And then we also we're looking to get some local roads over by West Parsonsfield area, open up for people to travel to possibly the lake, get some food at the restaurant there, at the carriage house, and when we get our new trailhead open, all this will already be in place and up and running. So we can work toward getting another trailhead that we all done. There's probably about 30 people now that have the trail there. It was down. So we're trying to find a new place for an access. So, and the third one is about the Hasty Road. We need to get that hashed out one way or another. However it ends up, it's fine. No hard feelings with me. But anyway, so those are the three items that.
A little bit of background that the town has LSR has no written permission from the town to be using these roads, and that's where this all started.
Right.
So maybe Steve, you'd like to we have Steve Thistlewood here as well, just say what your part in this would be.
Good evening, I'm Steve Thistlewood. I'm a land and relations game warden with the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. Just here tonight to sort of moderate the meeting, explain any rules or laws that the public might have this evening. The Warden Service doesn't take a stance on access routes, and that's what the club is going to be proposing tonight. There are some laws that allow ATVs to operate on a public way, but it's essentially to cross that public way, a culvert, a road, something like that. Back in, I want to say around 2000, the state started looking at access routes, which because of trail closures, it was shutting down complete towns and towns that bordered. So the state looked at these access routes with Department of Agriculture and Forestry, Department of Transportation, and they came up with a law which allows operation of ATVs from point A to point B with the road being an access route. Now, there are some rules to that. Under the law, there's equipment regulations that have to be met. There's a speed, we don't enforce speed on ATVs on main roads, but there's a safety factor in speed that and then they have to operate on the right-hand side of the road. Now, a town can say whether or not they operate on the edge of the pavement or off the pavement. DOT makes them operate on the pavement. So that's sort of the overview of the access route, and that's what they're looking to do is have some access routes so they can get from trail A to trail B. Now, one other thing I will tell you is that the state law does require it be done by a town ordinance, which isn't very hard. There's a process the town goes through. So this law gives the municipality or a town the authority to open that access route through an ordinance. And just to give a brief overview, there's been a few towns down here in southern Maine that have gone with an ordinance, and we can certainly supply a copy of that, or we can get them in touch with those towns. But in that, they set a speed limit for the ATV operation. They set requirements whether or not they have to have seat belts. The equipment's already under the state law, but a lot of them also require that the ATVs that they're operating on that access route, that they have to have insurance. So if they strike a vehicle or something like that. Now, as far as enforcing that, unless you're contracted with the state police, the sheriff's office, the warden service doesn't contract, but they could, or a constable, it's pretty hard to enforce that rule, but we could certainly, I'm sure the town has some sort of method where if they have a code violation, they have somebody that can look at that. So we could, if we had an encounter that was an ordinance violation, we can't write the ticket for it, but we could certainly forward a report to the town and they could do whatever mechanism they want for enforcement. Any questions at all about that? I'll be here all night. You have a question?
I have a question for the fellow who spoke first. Your first name?
My name is Tom. Hi, Cliff.
I live on Woodward Road.
Yes.
And the club did amazing work fixing up that uphill part of Woodward Road. And I can only speak highly of the club, except there's always outliers that break the law in the club, and not anybody in particular. Mostly it's motor dirt bikes that are breaking the laws. And so as far as I'm concerned, ATVers, 90% of them are great people, and they obey the speed limits and everything. But one thing I want to point out is, you mentioned there were 3 roads that were town roads that you could have access on. 3 town roads, right?
Yes. Yep.
What are those roads, do you know?
A little piece of Woodward,
Oh, okay.
Hasty Road, and then New Road actually is 4, because I guess New Road turns into Heath Brook at some point.
So Woodward Road is a town road. So it's important that people using it, particularly ATVs, are not going to get injured. Now, there are rocks, big rocks that are coming up. And it's not necessarily from only ATVs. And the town has not graded our road for 4 years. That road needs to be graded. And that's all I'm saying is, if we're gonna have ATV traffic, which I'm not against,
Yeah.
and you might have been down recently, see some like orange spots on the big boulders that are.
Yeah, I did see those.
Yeah, well, that's for people to try to avoid it and not get hurt.
Yeah.
And those rocks should not be exposed. That road needs to be, it's a town road, needs to be regraded, brought up so those rocks are covered. That's all I have to
The
say.
club's only been going through there for a year now.
Yeah, I know.
So, I understand, and I'd be willing to help you out any way we
Yeah,
can.
I mean, and I don't think it's the club's.
We can go down and pluck the rocks, but we don't have to break it.
It's 4 years that our road has not been graded. Every former road commissioner usually graded our road every other year. This road commissioner has not graded our road in 4 years. And it's a town road, as you said.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Clifford Crowley.
Clifford, okay. I just wanted to add to that, if it's a dirt road, I assume,
Yes.
but it is a town way.
Half of it.
So the club has the ability to, if they obtain this access route, they have the ability to put in for a grant through the Department of Agriculture and Forestry for trail maintenance. So I'm sure the town's going to look into whether or not it's been graded and whether they need to do their part.
It hasn't been graded for 4 years.
Yeah.
So,
But
and
what-
that's a town road, so it's a town
Yeah.
responsibility, isn't necessarily.
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying, if there's an extra impact on that road, they can contract with somebody to come out and grade it more often, supply materials. They can do that.
2 years is fine with me, but it's been 4 years.
Yeah. Well, some towns, we do it quarterly. You know, the high impact areas up in like Solon area, they'll run out and do them quarterly. So
Right.
just wanted to let you know.
I appreciate it.
Bye, Mike.
Yep.
My name is Mike Seavey, and I'm trail master for Landscape Ride. And this gentleman here, when we first met with him before that trail was ever put in, the plantation asked us to put in, He mentioned there was a low spot halfway up Woodward Road that really felt high, and he asked us, while you're doing this, can you please fill that in? Day one, the contractors filled that hole in. And another thing he asked us is, make sure the water don't drain down the center of the road. We put water bars in, we put trenching, it goes off to the side. So, everything was done to conserve the land.
Okay, I'm just going to add that it's really about the use of public roads that were, hello?
Hello, I'd like to listen here, please. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I can handle stuff.
So the workshop was designed to hear why LSR should have use of our public roads. So instead of getting off into a tangent about roads being graded and big rocks, because our time is kind of limited, let's stick with the use of public roads in Parsonsfield. This
So what is
gentleman,
the main opposition then at this point, like you're receiving from emails?
speed, litter, numbers of ATVs, noise, and where they're coming from. Safety on the roads, I know you said it's like a safety issue, there's no speed limit. There's been instances of ATVs that come around corners and practically run people off the road. This was on Hasty, but that's been the most major opposition. Do you guys have anything else that you've read in your emails that you want to add?
No.
No?
Minutes.
Gary?
I'm Gary Taylor, and live on Hasty Road. Built a house there in 1980. The reason I built a house on that road, it was a rural road in the town of Bassisfield, low traffic volume, and to get away from, all the traffic. Now, in the last couple of years, LSR came through and they put up signs that was a ATV trail. So we started seeing ATV traffic. I don't think they came to the town and asked for permission. They've been riding, last year they took the signs down because they were asked to take them down. So we've been dealing with the dust, the noise, the traffic. But it's gone up a lot in the last 3 years. So now I see, and I understand the warden wants to give them access to get from trailhead to trailhead. But what they've asked for in this section of town is pretty much opening all the roads in that area of town. So if you've got an ATV wherever you live, you can jump on it and you can go ride. You can ride the town roads all day if you want. You don't have to even go anywhere. And that's what we see on Hasty Road now. They're riding Hasty Road. Memorial Day weekend, they rode it. It was dusty. I don't know what you gotta do to stop them from riding the road that they never had permission to do. So, the other thing we see on Hasty Road, young kids going up and down all day long, especially on the weekends. Young kids, probably aren't old enough to drive them, with younger kids behind them. Sometime on a standard ATV, there'll be 3 kids on it. They did have helmets on this last weekend, up and down, up and down. That isn't what I built that house there for. Pay taxes in this town. They've got ways to get around these roads, but I'm not sure landowners want them on their land anymore. If you go look at their trails, the ones that went over by Champion Pond, there's rocks as big as those tables there. You can't get over those roads anymore. So why not ride the town roads where we don't have to worry too much about what they are, and ATV riders would love to ride them. And that's where we are. They were given permission to put a parking lot in. And they were also given permission to operate on that conservation easement. ATVs were not in that conservation easement. And I'd like to know if that owner of that land can change that conservation easement to allow them to use it. They ought to be satisfied with what they got, but they're asking for more, and there will be more next year.
When you say conservation easement, are you talking about the Lovett Plantation?
Lovett Plantation, ATVs were not part of that.
I thought that what I heard or understood that the land share writers was the only group that had a written agreement with the Levitt Plantation, with Landvest. I thought that, I could be wrong, but that was my
The
understanding.
new owners have allowed that, but it isn't, I don't think it's worded in that conservation easement. We see most of our traffic coming right up Province Lake Road, down Stagecoach Road, a lot of it from Province Lake. These are people that live in Massachusetts, come up here for the weekend, unload their ATVs and go up these trails and these roads. I don't know what I'm supposed to do now to stop the traffic. They've been riding it, they haven't stopped. They started it by putting all these signs and speed limit signs on these roads. Did they ever come and ask permission from the town to use these roads? They're using Hasty Road right now from the parking lot to Lon Knox Road. Who gave them permission to use Lon Knox Road? I own land on there. My cousin owns land. They've gone down on private land down up there. I'm not sure if that landowner knows. They've gone off on the right-hand side down into a swamp. This is why people don't want them on their land.
Okay.
Again, I want to reiterate, we're not here to support anybody using a public way. We're here to answer questions.
I didn't, and I.
Yeah, so the warden service doesn't have any input either way, whether there's an access road.
I haven't seen a warden for, I don't know, when the last.
Well, we were up here last weekend.
Yeah, I saw it on Facebook or something, but I haven't seen, I know, you guys are spread thin.
We are.
So now, oh, we don't operate like that, we don't do that, we're not the ones doing it, okay. So what? What am I supposed to do?
Well, you're our best,
What am I supposed to do?
yeah, right. So you're our best eyes and ears. If you think there's a violation, you should call it in. Report it so we can investigate it.
Call the warden service, they're probably busy on something else by the time they get over there. If I call the state police, they'll come if they're not busy.
It's their primary,
We've talked about a constable, I know it's been brought up.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because right now, Hasty Road's open, has been for years. Never was open, but it is now. They took the signs down, but.
because we found out about the access route last year.
And this isn't from trailhead to trailhead. This is not what these guys are asking.
Hold on.
They're asking to, if I got an ATV.
Yeah.
I don't have, even if you got a trailer, I don't want to load it, I'm gonna just ride. And like I said, they can ride town roads all day long, they don't even have to go anywhere. People in this
Can I answer some of
town
them questions?
live in this town because it's a rural town, and they live on these, even if some of them are paved and some of them are gravel, they live on them because they want a little peace and quiet on the weekends.
Hi, my name's Tom Witter. I live here on North Road. I assume if the town was to approve the LSR, that means anyone who has an ATV can use it, right? It's not just for members of the club.
It's for anybody that would live in this area. It's not open. There's no access from our main trail, so people from afar won't be coming in.
Well, okay.
I mean, at some point, they're gonna find out, sneak in, and then at that point, if it's an issue, we can make it go away.
Okay. The other point I bring up is it's nearly impossible to patrol that area. As the gentleman brought up, we have one state trooper that's responsible for the whole area. And great, someone goes screaming by on your ATV, you call them, they're gone. How are you gonna get their license plate when they're that big around? So, I think we're just opening up a can of worms that the town really doesn't want and shouldn't want by allowing more access to our town roads. For those simple reasons that it's impossible to enforce the laws, or nearly impossible. Yes, there's a vehicle to do it, but it's nearly impossible to get the instantaneous response. By the time you come up there, who knows, there with 4 or 5 other riders, and who's gonna come forward? Yeah, that was me. And I also agree with this man, we travel Hasty Road and Middle Road a lot, and there's been times where, more often than not, double wide goes screaming by, and my God, the dust, the noise, they're sitting there, they're riding along and swaying their tail ends around. And yeah, that's not what we want in this area. It's not what this community wants. So, I think you know my opinion on it. You don't have to look that far. Look right out front here, the double wide that's parked out front here, it's on the grass. It's not parked in a proper parking place. So there you go, right out here.
It is interesting that there is an ATV out there when there's no.
Yeah, double wide, and it's, like I say, it's parked.
Take care of that, Steve, please.
Yeah, we'll address it.
I got no clue.
Yes, Tom?
First of all, there's three different issues going on in this ATV stuff, and we're kind of mixing them all together. First thing we need to discuss, if we can get permission from the town to use less than 3 miles, Hasty Road, we have 5 trailheads at. We need like a quarter mile of Wood Road in Heathbrook. There's nobody lives on Hasty, the section, nobody on Heathbrook. 3 houses on Woodward Road, and this as long as we maintain the road. So that's a whole separate trail thing that we're trying to get confirmation that we can use, that's been used for years and years. The club's been in existence for about 18 years. I believe his father-in-law or somebody opened the club. I believe they're the ones that started, some of his relatives. I was told through past trail masters that Hasty Road was usable. So I didn't go down there to put signs to attract people. I went down there with the intent to try to control it so people wouldn't be idiots. And then it turned into more people came in. And so all of a sudden I'm back high. Well, that was not my intent whatsoever.
I totally agree. It might not be your intent, but it is what happens.
Right,
Very
I
frequently.
understand that, but it wasn't my intent.
Right.
So,
I saw Ed had his hand back, a while back.
My name's Ed Evans, I live on Hasty Road. What Tom just said about if people sneak in, they're gonna take care of it. Well, I talked to 2 gentlemen in Newfield last week, and they're currently riding there for side-by-sides, all the way from Newfield to Hasty Road, and up Hasty Road to ride on trails. And there's other people in Newfield doing that as well. And a lot of that traffic on Hasty Road is coming from Providence Lake. Okay, I'm in the unique spot where I can see where they're coming from. And they're coming right up 153, which I'm sure there's no access on 153. Back in April, before the trails even opened up, okay, there was a group of 6. There was 3 dirt bikes, there was 2 ATVs and a side-by-side, all traveling together. And they came up 153 doing about 60, and they didn't slow down a lick right on Hasty Road. And they kept going, okay, an hour later, they came back out the same way. They did that 5 times that day, that group. If you do the math, that's 60 vehicles going by, spreading dust, speeding every time, loud exhaust, it's a whole 9 yards. That's the problem. And if you don't have this road access, who's going to enforce it? He's saying that the town has got to enforce it. We don't have anybody to enforce it in this town.
The access route, right? The town controls the access route.
Right.
They set the parameters for the access route. If there's a violation of whatever parameters they set, speed, we can enforce speed. It's reasonable and unprudent speed, driving to endanger. That's all we have. That we're not allowed to use speed guns to measure speed per se. But if they're going too fast for the conditions, we can address it. We have regulatory authority, so we don't need a reason to stop an ATV.
Well, I've seen wheelies, I've seen side-by-side racing. They're right on that corner on Hasty Road. And I've seen 2 ATVs side-by-side going around that corner at 50 miles an hour. Somebody's gonna get killed, and it's just waiting to happen. So,
This is a road they don't even have access on, not supposed to even be riding.
okay, but I had no idea of that.
Which road is that?
Everything was,
Okay, I've got, this gentleman had his hand up, so I'm just kind of trying to keep things in a.
I'm Scott Pettingill. I'm one of the trail masters with the club. When we do get reports before the trails are open that people are riding the trails, if somebody can send us the info, through the website.
contact Tom.
We try to track those people down and say, stay off the trails because they're not open. We do, somebody's got to send us the info. Otherwise, we can't do anything.
I was just chasing down a couple of dirt bike guys that I knew were a problem on Hasty Road yesterday, so to think we don't get it.
Let's go.
I know Danielle had her hand up.
My name's Danielle, and I live on Smith Road. I just have a question for these guys. Why, I'm just looking at the map here, they're asking for access on Stagecoach Smith Road, Mountain Road, and Shore Acres Road, and they all dead end at Route 153 in Province Lake. Why do you need access on all those roads? I have a couple of questions.
It's access for locals to get to the trailhead or possibly to the beach or to get something to eat in the
So
carriage.
if I get to the beach, they have to cross 153 and go to New.
No, they don't. They can just take a left off of Shore Acres Road, bam, 1,500 feet, we're allowed to go on that.
Okay, you have to go across 153 to do that. So
No,
that's
no.
my problem is, I live on Smith Road and I see Bailey Road ATV traffic. Bailey Road is very populated and it gets very populated in the summertime. So I see all the ATV traffic coming from the New Hampshire side of Province Lake, and they go by my house and they go fast. So I personally don't want to see any of these road access that dead end to 153. I think we're all going to get Province Lake, New Hampshire, ATV traffic. It's not going to benefit any of the Parsons Field residents to have access on a dead end to 153.
Okay. It's been going on for 18 years. People have been driving on all these roads. I heard this from multiple people I stopped in and see. They said, Tom, we don't have a problem with ATVs. We have a problem with no control over the ATVs. If you can take care of that, then we will be more than happy to go along with you. So if we do nothing, nothing's going to change. You're still going to have the same problems she's talking about. You're going to have all these problems. You're not going to have anybody who lives right there. Mike lives right there to keep an eye on what's going on between the people in that whole neighborhood. If it's local kids. People keep blaming it on people from Mass. Maybe in the summertime, but they go by my house on their dirt bikes. I've come to realize letting dirt bikes into our trail because most of the problem seems to be coming from dirt bikes, and it was a trial thing to begin with. So unfortunately, we might have to tell them no more. But if the club is there, it's not gonna cost the town a dime. We can put up some signage, we can monitor it, like I said, I live there, Mike lives right on 153, in between two of those roads. So it's a chance to try to control the situation, to provide access for people without annoying all the neighbors. And if nobody does anything, then it's not going to change because there's no way to control it.
Well, enforcement is an issue. Cliff had his hand up back there for a while.
It seems like it's, the big issue is enforcement.
Yeah.
And we have a hard enough time in our own town enforcing all our codes. They're broken constantly. Now, the way it comes down to is this, you have to have really good signage that's gonna scare the hell out of people.
And there's somebody to patrol it.
And then you have to write down plate numbers, vehicle numbers, and then,
I just need their registration number.
yeah, whatever you can do to stop them, so you get information, you can say, this may be the last time you're gonna be biking. You know, you have to come right down and say,
No, I'll do it. They go by my house down Hasty Road. I can't believe how many people are going down there. I put up 6 signs. People down, so that's a whole other situation with people in Taylor City that think they have the rights to ride their wheels everywhere they can. But anyway, so somebody in that crew took down 4 of the signs.
yeah, oh yeah. You're looking
The next day.
They're gonna keep doing it until you confiscate their machine.
It wasn't our club members that did
You
that.
need to be able to confiscate a machine and get the game board to support.
Okay, so that's kind of like out of
Yeah.
our
It's
jurisdiction.
not gonna be out of the realm of if we wanna all live and work together. It has
Gary
to
had
be
his
some way to do it.
Yeah.
Has to be some way to do it.
We've had signs on Hasty Road, right when they started using it, when they weren't supposed to. They had speed limit signs, they had camera signs, they had signs that told you that you could ride that road. Nothing has changed. And I know, they say, well, it's not us. It's ATVs, and you're the ones that tell them they can ride it, and you're the ones that want access to it. Like I said, appreciate, you've got a park and ride over there on the plantation. And just appreciate that part of it right now, but they don't want that. They want to buy all these
Hey,
houses.
wait, somebody else had their hand up over here.
I'm Lisa Gomrick, East Road also.
Just a perspective of one person, tidbit of information, just from me, just a thought. So I love the side-by-side ATVs, we go to 4x4, like proving grounds, we watch the mega trucks, love it all. Super fun, fun is fun, trails are great, do everything you want in your trails. For me, my thing is, I live on Hasty Road, we moved here a couple years ago. I have a 5-year-old daughter, we love walking the road. We'll walk all the time, she loves it, we take our walks. The way the road is, normally vehicles, cars, trucks, slow down decently when you're on that road, and you can see them when they're coming. You have side-by-sides, dirt bikes that go a lot faster. It's really hard for me with my 5-year-old, it makes me a little bit more nervous to walk that road that's supposed to be a quiet road that goes to nothing, to trails. So for me personally, my thought process there is my kid walking on a supposedly quiet, slow road. So that's my whole thing. I love side-by-sides, I love riding, I think it's great. But for me, living on that road with my kid to just walk the road, it's a new danger that I have to do. So that's my thing.
The gentleman behind you, Tom.
Sean Toomey, I live on Middle Road. I've been there 30 years, so we're just gonna go back and forth. How do we, are we gonna go to a vote? How are you guys gonna decide this?
No, it's a good question.
Because I've ridden Hasty Road 30 years. To restaurants, at wherever. So it's dust. I live on Middle Road. They go by my house constantly. It's part of living in the country. So let's take care of the road. Let's put, as the club should just get some calcium that road.
I already did that.
And that's not cheap.
It's just gonna be a back and
That's not
forth
the point.
argument.
We got it free.
We dealt with this in Pittsburgh, New Hampshire. I have a camp in Pittsburgh, New Hampshire. They did the same thing. Every trail, every road is now a trail. It's good for business. That's how, booms.
Well, we've
Brings
heard,
in
who
business.
was at the meeting that said that is not a good idea for the town to open up all roads. That was,
All of it.
that was
Not all of it. He said all
Pittsburgh, New
of it.
Hampshire was dying,
not good.
and now it's a booming.
Yeah.
It's the best thing they ever did.
We're seeing some towns in Maine trying to do that, but northern Maine, it's not a good idea. The Department of Agriculture and Forestry, they regulate, the trail coordinators, they regulate these access routes. And you can't, it's a terrible idea to open up every road in the town. But if it makes sense to access something,
8
then
miles
yes.
total.
It's the best thing they ever did. They kept them off the high-speed roads, and so, yeah, I guess we're all just gonna have different opinion. We're all gonna come in here and argue about it. I mean, where's that getting us?
Well, we wanted to hear,
He doesn't want it, 'cause he doesn't wanna hit the traffic. We all get the traffic. You're gonna, Hasty Road, I'm gonna go down it in my truck. So there's the dust.
This,
What stops me? My truck's no different than my four-wheeler.
It isn't.
No,
It's coming down my house when about 12 go by it.
come to my house, I get the same
You
thing.
know, these
All
folks,
right, so hold on just a minute. We're getting off course. So
Right.
these folks,
I guess that was my question, though. What's the end game?
right.
the end game is that we'll make a decision, not now, because this is our workshop, and select boards don't make decisions during workshops. Our intention was to hear from the residents of these roads, yay and nay, to find out what the people wanted. What I find difficult is you have these consent forms. It's almost like you'd have to do a fact check to make sure that they are, like, you have Smith Road, but a lot of these people live,
They live off a little side.
yeah, they live
road,
off
but
of a lot of side
but
roads.
They're gonna come through Smith Road to get their wheelers to wherever, trailhead or whatever they think they wanna do, so I included them. Because that's gonna be added traffic.
As many emails in opposition that list, these are just consent forms, but the emails list a lot of reasons why they don't want it.
Okay.
yeah, one other question. They asked for all these roads to access. They didn't ask for Province Lake Road, which was a state road till a year or so ago, a couple of years ago when we took over. They show coming down Stagecoach Road. All right, when they get to Stagecoach Road at the bottom of Hasty Road, they didn't ask for Hasty Road, that short section where the people live. But then they want to come from their parking lot all the way back to Lawn Knox Road. I don't know who gave them permission to ride Lawn Knox Road. I don't believe that's a town road. It's right-of-way for all those landowners up there. But they show that by signage as being a trail. It goes to New Hampshire. So when they get down to the end of Stagecoach Road, where are they gonna go? Turn around and go back?
Well, you can ask the people that ride.
What, are we just gonna keep
What's
using
that?
it like we're using it now? You don't show using Hasty Road from the end of Stagecoach Road to Long Knox Road.
Yes.
You aren't gonna use that section.
No, well.
How are you
that
gonna
is
get,
totally
how are
up
you
to
gonna
you
get to
people.
your
It's not up to the
trails?
club.
How are you getting from Stagecoach Road to your trail system?
We're gonna trailer it.
Oh, you're gonna trail it?
We have no choice, because listen, I right from the get-go understand your situation. I've never fought you, I even came to you and told you I understand what's going on, and I didn't blame you for having a complaint. So 2 years ago, I went out, I put calcium chloride down before anybody said a word. I'm going by a house and I'm thinking, this guy must hate the calcium
What I'm
chloride.
asking-
But I'm just saying, let me finish.
Okay.
Okay? So, we're not trying to cause problems down there. There is some people from New Hampshire that come across Long Knox Road. That's why I put it there. There's also hunters that are flying through there, people going through there, riding through and all that. So, okay, no 3 guys from New Hampshire come over, we're gonna close it.
Okay, and Danielle, did you have your hand up one more?
The other question is,
Oh, Mike.
I can tell you what's gonna happen. They're gonna ride from Newfield all the way down Stagecoach Road, and they got 2 miles of road they gotta ride, or less than 2 miles to get to the trail system. They're gonna ride Hasty Road. They're not gonna stop.
No, they're not.
Let's be realistic.
We are.
Go ahead, Mike.
You're saying you're not gonna ride Hasty Road. You're gonna trailer it, but you're not.
By your house,
He's
you're
gonna
gonna
ride
trailer it.
Hasty Road, he just said he was gonna.
Okay, let's have Mike.
Okay, everybody take a breath.
Yeah.
Long Knox is not part of our trail system.
You've got your signs on it.
No, we got no, after that, we got no ATVs, there's no sign saying ATV traffic on Knox Road there.
Nothing.
There's a sign right on the corner said LSR, don't spin your tires.
Huh?
That might have been left over when we went on Hasty, but I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I've never been down Long Knox Road.
It just comes up with New Hampshire, I won't get.
We've got about 5 minutes to kind of wrap this up so we can
Yeah.
set up for our business.
I just-
If anyone who hasn't had a chance to say anything. Okay.
I'd like to hear from the game warden, give you your opinion on what can be done, and can you use cameras?
Yes.
So you want our opinion on if the access roads are allowed, how do we,
How do you enforce?
it is very difficult. So the ordinance side of it is difficult. It would have to be addressed in form of a report. If a game warden saw a violation, whatever that violation was, they could elect to write a report, like I just wrote one while I was sitting here. And then we would forward it off to the selectmen. They have to have a mechanism to issue a citation if they're going to, or some sort of town ordinance violation, like on an island, they issue a violation, you go to town hall and pay your fine. So they'd have to have a system for that, right? If it's a rule violation or a law violation, then any law enforcement officer can address that. So if it's a kid that's not wearing a helmet, if it's somebody that's driving at not a reasonable and prudent speed, we can address that. If they don't have their headlights on, we can address it. So if they're not registered, there's a bunch of mechanisms for us to address that. But they're gonna ride, I'm not saying the club is gonna ride off the trail. They've made it very clear that they're gonna trail their machines. Somebody at some point inevitably will ride off that trail. And then if you folks are our eyes and ears, if you're not reporting stuff to us, we can't possibly know that ATVs are driving down 153 onto Hasty Road. We don't know. You have one game warden for 5 towns. There's 85 working game wardens in the entire state. So the primary enforcement activity for the roads are the state and local and county police, right? We also have authority to stop a vehicle on the road, but if it's an access route, we would be inclined to do details out there. We would set up details where if we're receiving complaints at a certain day, time of week, we would go out there and we have money for overtime to go out and enforce ATV violations. So that's something we would do. One thing somebody had mentioned over here about the access route, this is not in any way against an access route. We don't have an opinion. But if an access route is open by ordinance. We don't have any authority to shut it down unless it's a safety violation. And we can't monitor how many times somebody goes across it. It's like a public way at that point. Does that make sense? So they could go drive up and down all day long, all year long, until the selectmen shut it down. Like they could seasonally shut it down, but you can't just shut it down. I can't just shut it down because there's too many ATVs on it.
Mike. I got one last thing. We went around, we got a bunch of signatures, and I hope you will seriously respect those residents of Parsonsfield who signed them. Just to make the people on Hasty, I called the state police for Hasty. They were there, they had a game warden there that same day. Not only was it a car that went through the trail, bumper ripped off, they also stopped 2 ATVs, and I'm glad they did, because it's them people that race down, and the trail is right there on their right. And it's like, come on, guys, you know better. And they stop them and they talk to them, you know? I mean,
There was also 2 other guys that was in the parking lot that headed down to the Hasty Road and they weren't supposed to be there. The game warden, Mr. Harhart. I said, would you please go make sure they're not going where they're supposed to go? He hopped in his truck and took care of it. So, I got one final thing to say. I'm not sure why there would be any issue with the under 3 miles of town roads where there's no houses on. For, if you close down Hasty Road, you've closed the club. Just keep that in mind, because we have 5 trailheads there. The other thing is, if we're not gonna move forward with giving the club a chance to monitor these local roads in this little neighborhood, then nothing's gonna change, and so that's it. You're just gonna deal with people driving. I have no control. You have no control.
we posted.
I can calm down the traffic if you give us the chance.
Okay, so we've got an ATV that's right out front.
I have no idea.
I have no idea. That shocked me when I started driving.
Yeah.
It's fine, I live across the street and I've driven it here ever since the town hall's been here. And
Damn,
tonight,
damn.
it won't be here again.
Guys, just to kind of, as we're heading to
Okay, we are
wrap up,
wrapping up, and Saban would like to say one thing.
There's other accesses they do have to get to the trail system.
Where?
You got Lombard Hill Road.
No, they won't let us up there.
Let him finish, Tom. Let him.
Landowner won't let you ride it. What about Mary Brown Road? That gets you your trail system.
So I was gonna throw
You
that
guys
out.
told us you were gonna use that this year.
I was hoping that, but then
What
I was
happened?
told they weren't gonna give it to us.
Who?
The,
The landowner?
Calvin Perkins, he's the forester that controls all of it.
Okay.
So he told me that they weren't gonna give it to me, I didn't argue it. And then hopefully we're gonna get an access
You want to say anything?
Wigan Mountain Road, because we already had blessings 3 years ago, and we were trying to get them.
guys, I think a few things to remember is that the land share riders, it's not their first time coming to see us. They've been coming regularly because they are trying to help police the area, which I agree with all of you. I live in your neighborhood. I run a business in that neighborhood. For the most part, I would say 90% of the people are respectful, and all of the locals that I see there are usually very respectful. I travel Hasty Road all the time as well. I see tons of out-of-state plates there, like Danielle said. Having the land share riders in the club in there helps us to keep some control. So we're not taking it lightly, but we shouldn't just villainize each other on this whole situation. What they're trying to, they're locals too, your locals are all locals. We have to find a way to coexist. And living in the country, that's one of the things we do. We buy UTVs, we ride them. I don't own one, probably because I can't drive my car right, so that's probably a good thing. As I backed into somebody at Hannaford today. I think that the decision to open the roads is trying to allow them to have the freedom to access the trails.
They've got a parking lot.
Yep. I mean, Gary, I have to say the same thing I said to everybody else. Yeah, Gary, can I just say something? Okay, well, good. Hey, guys, enough. Listen.
Okay.
My whole point and question was, I mean, really, honestly, Gary, is it worse for traffic with a truck and a trailer going by your house than an
A
UTV?
lot different.
Okay.
Sure is, a lot more dust.
I'll fix the dust.
I would, well, I would assume that, I'm just asking that question honestly, even though I can't get a word out edgewise.
Okay, we've gone kind of past the time that I needed to wrap this up so we can get on to our next.
Just one quickie. Trying to control the access roads. If you don't think it's a good idea, you're missing the boat. First of all, we're not gonna fix the problem, and second of all, our club, and if we have nobody that can support to help control these people, we want to step up to the plate and see if we can calm this stuff down. They totally ruined Hasty Road on us, now they're ruined, and I'm gonna tell you straight up, it ain't people from Massachusetts right now.
Nope.
It's people that live right in this community over there, and if everybody got together, we could figure out who that person is and tell them to knock it off.
We can also have, we can send a note.
Okay, Mike, listen, guys. I did ask several minutes ago, and I appreciate everybody's input. This is what I wanted to hear. Thanks to you guys. Thank you, Steve, for showing up. And,
I checked calls for service in the last year. There's been five complaints for ATVs.
from whom?
Like I said, right here.
5 ATV complaints in the last year for the town of Parsonsfield.
Okay, so a lot of people probably wouldn't call you. That's my guess, so, okay.
Tell you right now, Casey Road is not open right now,
I'm aware of that, Gary.
and I'm
I
gonna
was
start
trying-
calling the cops every time they go by.
I know, I was just trying to ask some questions. but
I know,
let me get
I'm
my
not saying,
word
but they
out.
have no intentions of not using Hasty Road.
Thanks for your.
Oh, no